I'm not the most tech savvy person, so I probably wouldn't have figured it out.
Yeah, it usually takes a couple times, and then luckily getting through a few of these with James, we've had to hang up and start over and all that, and even just trying to figure out where the camera's at. And you know, some people get to make a living doing this stuff. I just like talking to people for fun.
Couldn't imagine.
um,
Up.
so how's your day going? What do you do? What do you do for work?
I'm a personal trainer.
Okay, that is your full-time job.
It is. So I've been doing it for about 10 years now.
How
More
old
than
are you?
I'm 33.
33. Okay, I was not sure about that.
I guess 12 years, which is seems insane to be in like the same profession, but um it went by really fast.
Yeah. What did you do before that?
I was just a student. I went to UNCW, which is the college here, and ran track, majored in physical education, decided I really don't like children at all. And then I started training in college and was like, well, this is way better than having to like wrangle 27 8-year olds all day. So
So you're coming from a running background?
yeah, I've been competing since I think I was like 11. Like I did AAU and USA track, and then I ran, through high school and college. And then I actually Spartan raced for like maybe 8 years, 7 or 8 years. I give Matt, um, well, you put shit on your thing, so I'm going to say shit. But I give Matt shit because he didn't even know I Spartan raced. And I was like, I have like over 20 podiums. And how do you not? And we live like fairly close to each other.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Matt drinks crappy coffee still, so trying to get him off of that. So he's pulling it together though, slowly but surely.
I
Did
saw
you?
that your thing was your podcast. I was on his podcast after North Carolina. Are you like a sponsor for Hybrid Fitness Media?
Yeah. So I had
And he still hasn't converted.
well, he's trying, but he's he I think with he keeps talking about this like weight loss journey and fitness thing that he's going through right now, and so I think he is getting off of like the Dunkin' Donuts and stuff like that. So hopefully we can get him to just start drinking some black coffee or very little sugars, and then that'll help him out a lot. But yeah, I started once I started getting into Hyrox and everything, Hyrox, Deka. Um, the only stuff I could find initially on it was Rich Ryan's stuff on YouTube. So I was watching all of his videos, all of his training, and then so when I started with the coffee, and I wanted to get the coffee going through fitness, like I was going to be at the events either way, so I figured I might as well try to bring coffee and get people involved with it.
I mean,
I
doesn't drink coffee?
What's that?
What professional exerciser doesn't drink coffee?
Right, and that's been the thing for me, and throughout for me, even just when I started getting back into fitness, exercising, um, drinking coffee obviously every morning, but then starting to get more involved with nutrition and figuring out calories and what I needed to get rid of. Yeah, slowly but surely got rid of all the sugars and the syrups and just the unnecessary stuff. And then now that I've been roasting, it's getting into what 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 flavors are possible. Like you and I kind of talked about a little bit, like with brewing methods, and then just converting you, getting you, like the first thing you said was maybe we could break your $3 cup of coffee habit. And
I got with all my points. So I have a Starbucks actual cup. See this?
okay, yeah,
So instead of getting coffee, I just got the cup, and now I put your cup coffee in the cup.
nice. And what else do you have in there? It doesn't look black. What are you putting in there?
Now there's got to be some cream in there. You can't drink coffee without cream.
Sure, you can. Are you?
No.
Are you just going heavy cream, or what are you doing?
I do like this simply whatever vanilla. Gotta have a little sugar in there too. Gotta be gotta be done up just right.
Have you put just honey in there? Have you tried just putting honey instead of sugar?
Nah, it's not.
No.
Well, I don't put sugar in it. It's like a vanilla like creamer.
Oh, okay.
but it's
That's
all natural creamer.
oh, okay,
Veg-
okay.
with natural flavors and stuff.
Right, 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 right. Natural tastes. And then now you started doing pour overs.
Yeah, so I think I told you I had the French press. I actually
Hmm.
had lots of coffee paraphernalia that I didn't even know that I had. I think I bought my house like 7 or 8 years ago, and I've had a number of roommates. So I'm pretty sure like a lot of the stuff they've just left here. But I had an Italian press, a French press, and then I bought a pour over because the French press just seemed like too much to clean.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't. I feel like you have to be realistic too. I think that's one of the main reasons. Like it was so hard for me to switch over before is because well the Keurig I have one of those and that just sucks. It brews really bad coffee and so I feel like you have to do stuff like we're talking about Matt's weight loss journey and like everybody has their stuff to convert. You have to find something that you can actually stick to. So I'm like, okay, well the pour over is like super easy, and then I just throw away the thing. But if if you don't like what you're doing, and then it also is extra effort, then I feel like it's really hard for people to stick to things.
Just like fitness, just like
Yeah,
exercise, right?
yeah. That's why I tell people like you don't have like for normal people, you don't have to do stuff that you don't really like to do. Like find something you enjoy that you can stick with because so many people like they're in and out of the gym, they yo-yo diet, they gain and lose weight because they don't really like actually buy in. I mean, obviously there are going to be times you do stuff that you don't really want to do, but I mean, there are a lot of people they just don't like to exercise. Or they don't like to be inside of a gym. They'd prefer to be outdoors, hiking or whatever. So being able to find something that you can like stick to is super important.
Do you think it's so? I've always tried to just get people to understand that while you're watching TV, you can just do some squats or some sit-ups just to get going, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exercising.
so it's and I know people will get sore and then and then they won't work out for a couple days and then it turns into 3 days and then they just stop. So how do you approach that with a personal training like that? Or you start people out, figure out their goals obviously, and then go from there?
Yeah, I mean, I've been since I've been in the industry a while. I feel like there in a lot of young trainers is this idea that you have to give people the workout of their life. But really, like people just need to move around, like do, basic lifts. You need to squat, hinge, rotate, press, pull. But like it doesn't have to be super complicated and it doesn't have to be for like hours every day. I was reading a study recently about how just as little as 4 minutes of vigorous exercise a day has like really significant health benefits. So I feel like if we can get rid of the narrative that people have to exercise, like they see people like us, they're like, oh, y'all just do so much, like so much exercise. I could never do that. But like your investment doesn't have to be like 7 hours a week. It could just be, you could start at 4 minutes a day and then build up slowly so that you're not having all that soreness. And, you know, I feel like some people too, they get the anxiety of like, I have to work out or I like, and it makes it not fun. So I feel like the people who are most successful are the ones who can figure out a way to buy in to what they're doing. And I think a lot of that can actually be tied to finding a good community um, and people that can hold each other accountable and make it just more fun. It's a lot more fun when you can share it with someone else.
Yeah, yeah, and then the accountability of that, like showing up and getting up early, or making sure that you are going to do it and follow through. Um, when you so you were doing Spartan, so you did Spartan for 8 years, and then you start getting into Deka right away, or when Hyrox started, or when did that come about?
So I saw the first Hyrox. I can't remember if they had it in like Miami or something, and I was like, "Wow, that looks really cool." I feel like that's the sport that I'd kind of been looking for because I'd always been like a bigger runner and pretty strong. Like, man, I need to do that. And then COVID happened, so everything shut down. So I did my first hybrid race was the Deka Fit in Atlanta, and then I was instantly hooked. Because Spartan's not really a lot of strength. It's like a lot of, it still favors the people who are pretty small,
Mm-hmm.
more so than, old school Spartan. I guess there was a lot heavier. Did you Spartan racing, or are you more?
You, no, dur- before Hyrox and everything, I had started doing triathlons. So my goal was to do an Ironman, and that came about when I was 19. I wanted to do an Ironman. But then I got super fat, and got up to friggin' 300 pounds, and then drinking and partying. And then, but I wanted to do the triathlon. I wanted to do Ironman. That was the one thing I had said I wanted to do that I hadn't done in my life. So that was going to be my goal. Anyways, bought a bike, started doing intervals on the treadmill, but I couldn't run, couldn't do anything. And so I just, again, started CrossFit. I think we were like the 36th affiliate or something in the world when that first started. And we were doing it at the park and on tennis courts doing pull-ups. But anyways, sorry, I'm trying to get to your question. No, I had a friend, my friend Bernadette, she gets mad at me, but she's older. She's a grandma, and she is in the best shape, as good a shape as anybody that I've ever met in my life, her and her husband. So I've always said I want to be like them when I get older, but they keep getting older and they're still just as fit or more fit. They always did Spartans. They always did these races. And she would always say, come do these, come do these. And I was like, I always thought they were stupid. And I always thought that now I appreciate fitness more. I appreciate all kinds of fitness. So no matter what people are doing, I appreciate that they're moving. So I don't want to say that in a disrespectful way. If you're doing Spartans, if you're doing 5Ks, if you're doing whatever, it's working out, and I know the benefits. But yeah, I just always pictured myself trying to get over something and tripping over people, high-fiving, breaking my ankle, doing something weird, and then not being able to train for my ultimate goal, right?
Yeah,
But
and Spartan kind of like, I felt like that's one of the reasons why I wanted to stop, is because I was having some like foot issues, and the trails were not really like very I like to say,
mm-hmm.
just so I just found it like unsafe. And then you see athletes like Nicole Miracle, who's super experienced, like tore ACL, like just jumping off. So the unpredictability of Spartan racing was kind of like, oh, I'm getting older, like, I'd be really upset if I had to take 6 months off of training because I hurt myself running down a creek bed and slipped on rock.
Right,
You know,
right,
I
right.
feel like once you lose that for Spartan racing, and is or like any kind of like really technical trail, like you have too much fear, like it really hinders your performance because you're too much thinking like, oh, I can hurt myself, versus like just sending it. So
Yes.
there's a certain level of like fearlessness you really need to have for running those kind of trail races. And I felt like I just had kind of lost that a little bit. But
Yeah.
your sentiment about like Spartan race seems kind of like stupid. I swear I have all my clients are like, so you pay to go roll in cow shit, and like, like roll under, get cut up by barbed wire. Like, I feel like when you're not in it, like it does seem kind of silly because like there's so many other things that you could do to get fit. But whatever motivates somebody to, like you said, get up off the couch, do something active. I mean, super, it might not be my cup of tea anymore or other people's, but I've heard that they're having a resurgence in like the number of participants. So, gets a lot of people off the couch and doing stuff that normally might not be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, right here around where I live in Redlands, I'm 45 minutes from Big Bear, so they have the Spartan up there, and then I've got Lake Paris just on the other side of the hill here, so they have another big Spartan race, and then they had Glen Helen. I don't know I think they might call that Glen Helen Spartan. I'm not sure, but I did do that one a few years. it's been a few years now. I did that. That's the only one I ever did. And we have a local gym here called the Wolf's Den, and they do Ninja Warrior training and stuff. They've got warp walls and shit, and then the rigs, and they do everything at a pretty high level as well. So during COVID, we started going over there as a family, and it helped that my kids develop great, strength and balance, and still some of the best people I've ever met. And they've got all kinds of different levels, like you said, of people. Some people can do 18-foot wall. Other people barely getting up the 9-foot wall. But the cool thing is that everybody has a place to go, and they show up to these races together like 30 deep and freaking conquer it.
Spartan was a little bit more, I would say it was more chill. Like the community, like being in running my whole life, like I'd say it's similar, like comparing trail racing to road racing. I feel like in hybrid, everybody's pretty serious. Like it's not as like relaxed. I feel like everybody's kind of like, especially Hyrox. Like Hyrox, I feel like you don't walk in and everybody's like having a good time and like, but
Really?
no,
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's a terrible race. It's like the like painful thing I've probably ever done.
Okay.
But like I just feel like it's way more serious. Like CrossFit's pretty serious. But I feel like people come to Spartan race in costumes and tutus and they body paint themselves and they're running in, like it's I would say it's more of like a celebration of fitness for a lot of people versus like an actual competition. But I feel like people who do Hyrox, they're like trying to compete. They're not like doing that for fun because it's not really that fun.
Yeah, I could see that I see what you're saying. The thing for me about High Rocks that I've enjoyed since the first, I mean, I guess I'm in my third year now. The first one I did was Pasadena. I don't know if you did that one. They called it LA, but it was in the Pasadena Convention Center.
No.
But there was maybe if there was more than 500 or 600 people there, I'd be surprised. But E-Rock was still there, so he was on the mic, and then I believe Coach DJ was there, and he kind of walked in, and it's there's music going, but there's music at all events, and you don't really I don't know, I didn't realize the production as I've done more. They've been consistent with that production, and then going into this last one in LA, Anaheim,
Mm-hmm.
there was a significant difference. As soon as you walked in, the lines were longer. I get there at 7 a.m. and it's already packed. Whereas before we didn't have that. I'm not complaining. I love seeing the growth. And the other good thing that I've noticed about Hyrox is how efficient they are as far as getting people through the lines, making sure all the questions are answered. And then it was just a party. It's just a party that started as soon as you walk through those doors, and the energy doesn't stop. From 7 a.m. until the relays are finished, it's nonstop. The music's not too overbearing. It's fun. I definitely see the serious part, and like I told you, when I saw you in LA, right? That was the
Okay.
last High Rock.
That
That,
was that was the race we do not speak of.
okay. Well, when I saw you, because I saw you at a Deka before, and it was one of those where I was like, oh Jesus. And then at Hyrox, when you were going, it was you and Chris were in that race. So my kids love Chris. They just not know her, but just follow her from all the things. And then I saw you, and I was like, come on, get it going. And you like looked up at me and just kind of gave me this look, like just that
Like
it's not happening.
no. I was pretty deep into I had like a meniscus tear and
Oh,
I was trying to push through. I pushed through Deco World and then uh could barely walk and then somehow tried to turn a High Rocks and then really put myself in a bad way for several months. But yeah. but I'm
Well, that's not good.
part of it. I mean, I'd say I'm like 98% now. I still have like some issues with my knee, but it's not like inhibiting me from training or anything. It just gets cranky sometimes.
How long after? Okay, sorry. While you're talking about that, I've noticed, and I don't know if it's just because I've just recently started paying more attention to what you're doing as far as training goes. I've seen you doing box squats. Do you do that because of your knee?
Actually, I just started working with Dylan Scott. I I drive myself crazy with doing my own program sometimes, and I think that it's just nice to like have something to follow instead of, you know, I'll get into a workout and I'll be like, well, actually, I need to work on that. Like, so I was just, but sometimes I like doing that where I don't have to like, oh, if I don't feel like doing this to stay, then I just don't do it. But he was having me do box squats. I still have like some like issues with range of motion in that knee, but it's getting better. But that's just what he had on the plan. So
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah.
I just
I'm,
wonder because I'm always my mobility is not that good, so I'm constantly just trying to get lower in my squats. So I was that's what I was curious about is if you have a balance of say going below parallel to doing box squats.
yeah, I probably keep most of my heavy movements like just above parallel because of, well, I have issues with my knee and my foot. I'm just a broken person, Brian.
All right.
I my one of my feet has like very severe arthritis, I guess just from like years of running. So I don't know if you know Alondra Greenlee.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
So she's a foot and ankle surgeon. I sent her my MRI from because they originally thought that my navicular bone, which is like the bone like right after your ankle, I guess, was dead, which is bad because it supplies all the blood to the rest of your foot. But then I got an MRI and they said, "Oh, it's not dead. It's just kind of messed up." But she's like, "I'm surprised you can run." And
Yeah.
like she's like, "That doesn't look good."
Yeah. That
I was
does
like, "I
not
run
good at
just
all.
fine. I might limp a little bit after, but it's okay." Uh,
Yeah.
and the doctors were like, "Really, there's nothing. You're not going to make it worse, but like it's basically if you can tolerate the pain, then go for it." So,
How long after? Because you won Deca Fit last year, right? Deca Fit World.
I won Deka Fit in 2022, and I won the mile last year.
So how long after that did it, or was it bothering you then, or did it take off after that?
My foot or my knee?
Yes. Well, shit. I guess
Over
both.
thing. The foot has been a thing since college.
Oh, okay.
But again, it's like something that just it doesn't keep me from doing anything. It'll just hurt. The knee probably started in like September, and I'm not really sure what I did to it, but I had the injury and I just kept kind of pushing because I was so close to Worlds. I was like, I just got to get through Worlds, and then I went to Chicago Hyrox because I knew that Stockholm was going to be during Worlds, so I was like, well, I need at least one or two chances at trying to make it to World Championships. So I did that, and that was probably not my best decision because I couldn't walk for like a few days. And then but then obviously I mean I did fine in Deca, but there's not like a lot of like knee dominant movements. Like through my whole injury I was able to run, like it just hurt, but
Yeah.
like this I probably had a pretty like lenient judge in Hyrox Chicago because my I wasn't able to bend my knee past like 90 degrees, even like facilitated movement.
Wow.
So I don't think I was probably going below parallel, but if they're counting it, then I'm gonna keep on. And
Yeah. Do
they
you?
let me use the bucket.
They did let you?
They used to, like, I don't know, 2 years ago after Vegas World Championships. Then they said no more buckets for elite because
Yeah.
they look bad.
What do you think about that? What do you think about the bucket? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's good?
Well, I think the bucket can create more like uniformity. So like if people are kind of like on the edge of like, oh, that's good, that's not good, then it kind of like, but optically, no, it looks terrible. Like it doesn't look good, but it also doesn't look good when people are half squatting and.
Right.
So I mean, it's like you really, I think Hyrox is doing a lot better job of it as of recently. I mean, at least in the elite waves. I mean, still in the open, it's like kind of the Wild West. But you could use a bucket. So then it's kind of up to the volunteer to like make sure that if they're not hitting depth, like they give the participant a bucket. But I actually talked with Matt about like standards and stuff because he was giving me shit about my burpees for Deka. But like my but this was before you had to extend your arms. So I
Mm-hmm.
actually like the new rule because you have to stand up really to like fully extend your arms. So I think it gets away from that gray area because I mean I watched back Deka last year and I was like, ugh, those look rough. But they're
Yeah.
counting them, so when you're in like a race, like you if you're hearing the count, like you're just gonna keep going. Because me and Lauren were like in a burpee off, so we're just trying to
Mm-hmm.
move as fast as we can. I'm not like intentionally trying to like not stand up like a three quarters of an inch so I can get like an advantage. I'm just trying to like move really fast. So unless you're like no repping, like the athlete is also going to think like, okay, this is good. So I
Yeah.
actually heard a podcast and somebody was talking about, I feel like it was when Rachel, I can't remember her last name now, but she was really good. Von der Rock, was racing, and I think she was the one. She was like, I went to a depth that was acceptable to the judge, or something along those standards. And I'm like, I mean, if the judge is counting it, then I mean, what are you? I can't go ask the grass anyways. So like, I literally can't even do that. Like, if I walk myself down on the rig, it's just not within my mobility range.
Right.
And
Right.
I think a lot of that is from my ankle. I mean, as well as my knee, but I work on it. I probably do more mobility than most of the athletes that are, just because I have so many issues. But you wouldn't tell it if you watched me squat.
Yeah, it was I when Deka first started around here, it we were I was training like that, like extension and all that. And then it got to the point where I remember it was like we were just headbutting the ram. We'd bring it up and just bring it to the forehead.
Yeah.
And I don't have you met Glenn? You ever met Glenn Race?
I mean, I know who he is,
Oh,
obviously.
okay.
I don't think I've met him in person. No.
Well, that dude lives right around here too. So
He's a
he's
beast, man.
yeah.
Old
And
is
what's that?
How old is he?
He's my age. He's 45, 46,
Oh, okay.
and
Now,
running like
now you have to be over 50 because, like, Amy is a monster beast, and she's 50, so she set the new standard. So I'm not
yeah.
impressed unless you're 50, crushing
Oh,
it.
okay. Well, he's still running like 15 sub 16-minute 5Ks. So I was
I'm
like,
He's a beast.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
he's done really well this year. I feel like he's like kind of like took it up a notch
yeah,
versus
yeah,
performance.
yeah. And it's really cool to see. But what I was going to say about Glenn is when we started coming together at competitions, he and it was as Deka locally was picking up and going to other gyms, but I hadn't, and I'm just saying this to give context. I hadn't been beat yet, and then Glenn shows up, comes to Redlands, and just smashes me. And so from that point, I was watching him. So then, as I'm watching Glenn had figured out every station and how to get the most out of it as fast as possible and as efficiently as possible and within the standards. So I started doing everything that Glenn was doing, and it seemed like as as I was picking up on what Glenn was doing, then Yancey was coming out with videos saying you can't do that. This is how we're going to do it. So
Oh,
I
were you sidestep lunge thing? Because I know that like,
oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, that weird twist.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I saw Glenn doing it. I saw Ryan Kent doing it, and again, I'm like studying all of this stuff, trying to figure out how to just get faster. Not trying to cheat, but just get
Yeah.
faster. And and I was like, screw it, man. If this is what's happening, this is what I'm going to do. But yeah, it's cool. It does seem like Deka now. It was getting frustrating, especially going to different gyms. But it seemed it, and it's fun. Again, Deka's a fun one for people to get into, and like you said, it seems like it's it's more of a celebration, like a get together. Whereas Hyrox, I tell people it's like a casting call for the friggin' Avengers. Sometimes everybody's walking around with their shirts off, just ripped, and
Oh, right. You don't
it's wild.
doesn't look like freaking they work out 27 hours a week at Hyrox.
Yeah, it's like everybody has a filter on them in real life. It's wild, but again, I love it. Are you training for both at the same time, like Hyrox and Deka? Are you focusing on something?
Um, Typically, I was focusing on Hyrox more in like the spring, and then Deka in the fall, just because those were like the bigger races. So I'll probably continue to do that. Like right now, I'm kind of in a flex phase where I'm just like in off season, um, healthy, trying to get fast. Um, Man, it's tough. It's like I feel like hybrid is easy on your body in some ways, but harder in others than like regular running, because like the amount of volume that people are able to put in to me is just like insane. Because
Yeah.
I just hit 11 hours last week, so I was like super pumped, and haven't had too many issues. But I mean, I know there are plenty of athletes putting in over 20 hours a week, and I already have kind of like I think I've talked about this sometimes in my posts. Like I have been overtrained like numerous times in my career, and like the first thing that I can really tell is my sleep starts to
Mm-hmm.
suffer really bad. Like, because I guess your cortisol is just so high, and it's like your body's so tired, but it's like it just won't fall asleep. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like the annoying thing ever. Um, but it's rough, and I feel like lots of athletes also just don't take an off season, which
Yeah.
I I feel like physically that it's really hard, but mentally for me to just always kind of be on ready, like feel like you could compete at any time. Because hybrid makes it that way where it's like, okay, well, if you wanted to, you could compete year round, and like especially with Hyrox now in the majors, like you pretty much have to be fairly fit like at least 6 months out of the year, like pretty competition ready. Maybe not so much if you're like on the top. Like I feel like probably like um Meg and Lauren could compete like at you know, their B level and still be like top three. So like for them to qualify for worlds, it's not like something they actually have to taper their races or change their training just for the majors. But like for people, like me, who were like, okay, well, I have to like really peak at this major race so I can make it to worlds. And then if I don't make it, then I need to peak again because I got to try the next time to get it. Like, so there's definitely obviously some advantages to, being at that next level because one, like ahead of time, like, okay, I've already qualified. I got like 6 months now to get ready for worlds. Um, so you can basically train for that. But for, the rest of us scrubs, we gotta try to peak like multiple times a year just to get like to the dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. I wonder if it'll change, if the strategy will change a little bit this year after everybody watching how it went down with majors, like how you're saying, like with the qualification, maybe like will people sit out, maybe not focus so much on the first major, start looking to the second or third or the fourth and the last chance qualifier or something, instead of, or do they just blast off and try to get in the first one? I don't know. You're that's your world.
yeah, I think it just depends too. Like since they haven't announced the locations yet, like for me, I'm not gonna travel all the like the only reason I went to Doha because I was like, oh, nobody's gonna be there. It's like 3 weeks out from Worlds, and there's like a pretty big prize purse. So I was like, I'll just like swoop in on there. I feel like it. I was pretty confident that I could at least get top three because I was like, most of the people won't go. Obviously, then Meg showed up and she ruined my plan, um, but I still got second, so it was fine. But like I can't imagine myself like wanting to travel to Asia, especially if it's like I've heard rumors, that there's going to be like an Asian one, a Middle East one, um, and only one US and I think two Europe, maybe like one in the UK and one in like main Europe. So, I mean, depending on how they're laid out, like it's probably not smart for me to go to like Middle East or Asia just because it's so far and the competition. But then maybe you hit like if Asia's like the fifth major, I mean, and they're going to roll down all the spots
Right.
instead of just the top five, then maybe it's like, oh, maybe it's worth going to try. But then I feel like it gets into this thing that I don't like where it's like pay to play. So it's like if you have the money to go to all the races, then it becomes more like who can race more. And like, the people who don't have as much money are probably only going to be able to race what's closest to them. So if you're in the
Yeah.
US, maybe you race one US race and one European race. And I mean, that right there is probably already at least like a $3,000 commitment.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's people that post on Instagram that are at almost every race, it seems like. And I'm like, how do you do that? I don't, and I'm talking age groupers. I'm not even talking the pros. It doesn't,
Well, that's what I'm
yeah,
saying. It's a
it's
huge
wild.
monetary, like,
Hmm.
and I mean, as an athlete, like, I'm still waiting to get paid for Deca Worlds,
Are
which
you
happened,
serious?
which happened in like November. So, and then also Doha, but I mean, I guess that was like 2 months ago. So it's like if you're relying on any kind of like of these financial like incentives that they like advertise and you travel for them, then it's like, okay, well, I kind of need this money so I can go to the next race and the next
Yeah.
race. Um, so it's like frustrating, unless you have like the top tier, like kind of sponsorship deals with probably like Puma and ESN that I've seen a lot of the top people with. It's like, you're investing a lot of your own money to try to go win money that you might not get.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I don't like that is, and I had kind of forgot about it until you just reminded me that they don't pay or it takes forever. I don't understand that. I don't, especially with Deka, with the amount of affiliates that they have and how many races are being held. And there's no reason why if they can't budget, if they can't budget, prize money into each event, then I feel like somebody's failing as a boss, as a CEO of that company, or whatever it may be. Um, I don't see myself running something like that and not being able to pull the money out of my pocket and being able to hand it over to the athletes. Um, Speaking of that, Warrior Wolf Challenge. Um,
Oh yeah, they pay you cash.
that's
That
right. Yeah, and I I've just been communicating with them over the last few months, and it was just something that there's just something cool about people when you don't get a sense of any kind of bullshit or anything like being hidden, and any weird agendas or trying to be cool or put on. There hasn't been anything with them at all. I'm really trying to get out there, but
well, the
you're
cool
competing again.
like a competition run by athletes.
Yeah,
I think the thing about Spartan is like it's awesome. Like Yancey is an amazing advocate, and honestly, I don't know how invested I'd be in Deca anymore if it wasn't for him and like his team. But like he has no control over that kind of stuff. Like it's not like he's paying them out of his pocket. Like I know if it was up to him, he would pay the athletes like that day. So it's like I have a lot of I feel like I know he really advocates for us, but at the same time it's like frustrating because the people higher up which control all the money flow, like they don't care. They're not athletes. They're just it's a business to them. And
yeah,
I don't think they care as much like about the sport or like I mean Yancey's all in. Like he is all about Deca. He is like Mr. Deca. And I think he's what makes the sport really great. But the people like up top, they don't really care. It's just a way to generate revenue and it's just a business to them. So you have
it
good
is.
people on the ground. But as far as the people up, I don't I don't good.
It's weird. The weirdest thing about Deka is that people will say they have all of these lists of concerns or complaints, and then at the end of it they go, but I love Yancey, I love Yancey, and it's true. I mean, every race his energy is insane, to say the least. And he not only seems like somebody that is a race director, but he does seem like a fan. It seems like he is excited every time he sees somebody just going for it, you know. And you could tell he is trying to be at every station, watching everybody do their burpees and making sure that they're doing it. Um,
And it's
again,
I feel
go
like
ahead.
he's excited. He's just as excited for the elites as like every athlete that's there. Like he
Yeah, yeah,
same energy for everybody, and it's really cool. Like I think he makes Deka. It's
he
kind of
does.
like Hyrox was with Hyrox. Like I felt like Hyrox was such like a good like face of Hyrox. Like he brought the energy. He was like a good like he had good charisma. He was good for the sport. Same thing with Coach. Like that
Yep.
guy, awesome. Like when I think of Coach, I think of Tough Mudder, and like I think the people make the sport too. And again, I don't think that the corporations care so much about that as the bottom line.
Yeah, yeah. I hope Hyrox continues. At least again, I'm not an elite athlete, but going to them has been a lot of fun and meeting a lot of great people. And I hope that this energy continues. I hope that they are able to start doing 2 days instead of the 1 days with the events growing and the amount of people out there. Because that's the other thing, right? You don't want Hyrox to, I am don't see it. I hope that it doesn't happen, and I'm not saying it is going to, but they don't see it as, well, we can pack this many people into 1 day and make this amount of money. Why would we buy out a convention center for a second day? So we'll
So
see.
that becoming my only kind of strife right now with Hyrox is the course crowding is getting insane. Like I
Yeah.
ran work, and I mean I did run doubles, and I know doubles is more crowded than like a regular event, but like when you're still chasing down a time for like the Elite 15, if I have to run another race, like even Doha was pretty like the course was not fast because of the number of people on the course, and like the course was actually really weird. They had like this like plastic layover, and like everywhere on the course was like these uh like boards, like thin like plywood boards, like they were covering holes or something. So grip on the boards, like I don't know if they were attached, they had to be attached to the ground or something, but it's like you're running on this weird plastic overlay with these boards just like everywhere, and it's like
Wow.
super hot, there's too many people. um and so it's just like it like I am not saying it doesn't matter for like age group people, but if you're qualifying your age group, everybody's dealing with the same conditions on the same race, and you're racing for place. But if you're racing for to get into the majors, you need a time. So some races might not be, like Chicago was really fast in November because they only had like 1.5 loops. So the run course was super open. Like, so you could open up your stride, get into a good rhythm. Like you didn't have to weave in and out of people everywhere. So I think you saw a lot of athletes run like really good times because like they didn't have to basically run through mosh pits while they were trying to like beat.
Yeah. 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 I wonder why they don't. Okay. So I feel like, um, have you done doubles and individuals in the same day? Have you done that at a Hyrox?
Actually, yes, but only at Miami, which was outside
Oh, Jesus.
in the sand. I feel
Yeah.
like that's High Rocks too. They like are they just try to like fuck us up because we have like 7 events, and then they'll have like one event's outside, and like the US series race doesn't have a pro division. So then you like are down to like 5 or 6 races for pro, and you're like, oh yeah, actually I live on the East Coast, so I have to fly all the way out to LA to do like so. It's not like Europe where they have like 30 races in a season. Oh yeah, um, I couldn't make it to that one because of this. so like I can make it to this one, or this course was really bad and I didn't get a good time, so I can run another one. But and then they sandwich them all like all together, so it's like I think in the fall, um, they're like 3 weekends in a row.
Yeah, you'll have Chicago, Dallas, and Anaheim within, I think, 6 weeks. I think November to the beginning of December.
Yeah, so 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is right around there. I don't know how far. I know I'm doing Dallas and Anaheim, and I know that the separation is 2 weeks. I think it might be 3 weeks. I'm not sure when Chicago is. Chicago's in November though, also I believe, right?
I'm not sure, and it's sold
Man,
out. So not only all the events are like sold out, there's only a few of them. They decided to do New York outside, which was terribly hot. So like if you saw the men's and women's pro times, like I mean there were some good people that were racing, even though it was right before World Championships, but their times were just not reflective because it was really hot. Men's times were okay, I think. The sleds were the sled pull was really fast. Like I was looking at the results from the men's, and like the top guys were pulling faster than they were pushing, which is
wow.
basically unheard of. Like I think the sled
Yeah.
the push was like fairly normal, like maybe slightly,
Hmm.
but the pull was super fast. And it's crazy because it's all the same carpet. Like I don't even understand how this carpet, and this wasn't even carpet, it was turf.
I think that there's something. The only thing that I can think of, the only variable is sweat, and the carpet's getting soaked in sweat because when I'm going, I'm dripping all over the place. So I don't know if maybe, and I know that for doubles, when I've done the doubles races in the morning, of course it's doubles, so
Right.
the effort level is different and maybe easier, but I can run with the sleds in the mornings, and then even then when I get like Anaheim when I did individual, it's a whole nother ball game. Just and that's racing afternoon, so there was probably already 1,000 people that had raced by then, and everybody got their sweat on there. So I don't know if I don't
Yeah.
know I don't know.
Uh, I and I was talking to somebody about World Championships. Like, so Vivian had like the fastest sled push for the women's elite. She would have been like 70th for the women's the next day, and you can't
Damn.
that Vivian is pushing 70th out of all the age group athletes. Like the sleds just weren't the same. And like I feel like Hyrox can be like, oh, they're the same, but they're not. Because you're not telling me that probably over 100 women push faster than the majority of the women's elite field.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. That.
there's just not it's not the same. Like if
Oh,
I was watching while Lauren was pushing and I was like, there's something wrong with that sled. Like her sled doesn't normally like she's a good sled pusher. But I was just like, it's just not moving right. Like
yeah.
you could tell it looked like it kept getting stuck. And I was just like, that. I mean, I think it was slow for everybody, but in the elite field. But I was just like, there's no way because Vivian is just a freaking monster on the sled that she would have been like 70th in age group.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah.
were watching it, and I think even my daughter said something about it when Lauren was going. I think my daughter even said, "What's wrong? What's wrong with Lauren?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. Something's happening though." But
Yeah. Just, but they said that I heard, or somebody told me that it was really, really hot in there that evening. So maybe like the humidity, like how you were saying the sweat, but maybe the humidity on the carpet was like making them move like kind of funky, um, and making them just more sticky. But like I've seen like in LA, I think that was the part of the downfall. I got a sled, I just couldn't move it. Like thank God there's no videos of me. Like I'm normally like a 3 mid pusher. I think it took me like over 5 minutes to push the
yeah,
sled. I was
yeah,
like, I couldn't get it to move. I was trying like different hand grips and whatever, and like everybody, like the people, 2 people beside me, their sled was moving just fine, and I'm like, I mean, I don't think I'm this weak. Like I just the sled just isn't moving. Like I don't understand how they could be so different from lane to lane. Like
yeah, yeah.
because
I
if
know.
you watched Chicago, the Elite 15. I actually watched the men from above so I could pick my sled lane. I was like, okay, I need to be fourth because fourth was Kent's lane. He was running with the sled. And again, Kent pushes the sled good and he had a great race, but he was like 30 seconds ahead of the next guy.
Yeah,
And
that's significant.
I was like, that's like, 20% faster than anybody else in the men's field. And I was like, I mean, Kent's good, but like, I don't think he's 20% better at this one event than every other person. So, but it looked like he was running with it. So I was like, I need that one. And then I counted wrong and got the fifth one. And it moved okay. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't, I definitely wasn't running with it.
Yeah, yeah, I did. When I did the my first one in Pasadena, and I got to the sleds, I turned around and I looked at my wife, and it was the first time at any competition I gave her that, like, I don't know what to do here, and she's like, "Come, what do you?" She was kind of like, "What do you mean?" I go, "It's not going anywhere. This thing is not moving," and ended up, anyways. That was my worst Hyrox race, but since then, the thing that I've done, that I've tried to get I get in to where I have the center where the weights are, the center pole. I
Mm-hmm.
get in and have that inside of my neck, on my trap, and then I reach across to the other side.
So I tried that in LA, and people were like, "What were you doing?" And I was like, "Anything I could try
Yeah,
to get the sled to move."
yeah, yeah. And in LA, or Anaheim, I got to the sled, and I went to push like this, like how seems like most people do, and the
Mm-hmm.
sled wouldn't move. I couldn't get to move, and I just dropped right down and put my shoulder in, and then went, and then, unbroken, whatever. But there's I I just think that at certain times there's just certain muscles that are firing and other stuff that's not, or shoes or ankles or who knows what, and not being married to a specific system on every station, I think will help you out. And so when you face adversity, you don't freak out. You just adjust, adapt, and freaking overcome. Hopefully, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know, Tara. But
the sleds are always. That's actually the only other beef I have with Hyrox. The sleds are not the same, and the courses are getting congested. But I do
yeah,
think they put on a very professional event. Like it feels like every Hyrox you go to feels like a world class kind of like
yeah,
event, and
yeah,
that's like Deka feels more like grassroots. Like, we're gonna go have this like little event, and we're gonna run some circles and do some exercises, have a good time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, it's great. And what's is Warrior Wolf Challenge? Is that next, or do you have something else coming up?
Man, I have so many things, so many things. So I'm doing a half marathon next weekend. I'm actually doing
Oh,
a this weekend as a workout. So I got a local 10K. I'm going over to Seattle to do a half marathon with one of my buds. Then I am scooting up to Canada to do the half rocks in Niagara Falls.
Half Rocks. What's that?
It's a half high rocks.
Oh,
Yeah. With,
with
so
what?
they're doing cash prizes. So,
Oh,
and it's affiliated with Pure Impact Athletics, which is Amber and Zach Tate's gym. So they're putting that on in the Niagara Falls Convention Center. And then I think I'm gonna do a beer mile.
okay.
So really fitness driven in August.
Have you
And then
been training for that at all?
pays me maybe go down to Florida. But I
Yeah.
want to
Have
get
you been drinking some beers, or what do you plan to do for that? Are you going to taper, or are you going to ramp it up for that?
well. So my running group, they put this event on every year, and they have a relay where you drink a beer, run a 5K, and there's four of you. So I've done that before. I've done the whole 20K myself, and now they have the mile, which they give you a machete if you win, if you get top three. So the machetes looked really cool this year. So I was like, I need me that machete. Um, So no, I haven't been drinking at all. So I would just be like flying by my seat on that one. You can actually drink chocolate milk if you prefer, but that just sounds terrible in
Yeah,
August,
that
Wilmington.
sounds worse. That sounds really bad, actually.
Yeah, warm.
Dang.
They do it. So Wilmington probably right now. I mean, we're hitting heat indexes of like over in triple digits. So this race is in mid-August and it starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
God.
And
Yeah.
so
It sounds pretty intense.
yeah, it's intense. But we'll see. I'm signing up for the beer mile, but I might drop back and do the relay just for fun because I feel like if I drink 4 alcoholic beverages, I'll probably be really put out the next day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, and they always pick like a really strong IPA. They're not drinking like Bud Light over here. They got like Tropical Lightning or like they're drinking some 12% grapefruit IPA. When I did the 20K, I was just blitzed by the third lap.
Wow.
And you're like drunk trying to run trails and stuff.
Oh,
And
it's not on a track? It's not on a track?
no, it's on trails.
Holy shit. That
I know.
sounds gnarly. Wow.
It's fun. It's a big party too, and but it's like, man, you get people drunk, make them run around in the woods, and then you give them like
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
Yeah,
most.
that's not sounds wild. Sounds super wild. Um, well, Tara, I'm glad we got to talk. I think I kept you a little bit longer than I I told you I would, but I appreciate it. And it's been cool. Like I said, we've only been talking for about a month, but it's fun. I enjoy watching what you do, and I enjoy watching you racing, and looking forward to seeing you compete this year, seeing you crush, hopefully.
When's the next race that you're doing? Oh, are you doing Toronto?
No, I'm not doing Toronto. I'll do the only thing that I have scheduled for sure is Dallas and Anaheim, and then I'll probably get some local stuff in. I'll get some stuff. There's something going on in California every weekend, so we'll get something happening, and then just see what the schedule brings. See what happens. But yeah, as of right now, just with the businesses and everything, it's just focusing on training, and like you said, I I mean, I can. I hate saying that. I sound like I'm making excuses, but yeah, I'm committed to Dallas. I'm committed to Anaheim. So I've got a lot of new training going on, a lot of things I'm trying out that we've been implementing the last couple months that have been working out. So I'm just trying to stick to the game plan.
Cool. Well, you got time.
Got time, man. Got time. And then I'll keep up with you. We'll get you drinking some different coffees here too. And
I'm a
yeah, I'm sure. What
like the Condor, so
Condor's a crowd favorite, man. It's one that nobody dislikes, and then that's my main coffee. That's the one that I always keep, and then everything else that I have, I rotate around that. But I've just kind of went wild with all the different processes, so that's why I just try to send little samples to everybody, just to um, just I don't know, just give them different. I don't know what the right word is, but just
variety.
different. Yeah, just variety. I didn't know any of this stuff until I started roasting, so I'm just trying to share that. Trying to share what the possibilities are, and it's been neat and it's been fun. And Black Condor is super solid. We drink that every day. That's my wife's favorite, so we drink it every day. And then I usually get to the shop, and then I make pour overs and do all that stuff, and then espressos. But yeah, it's been cool. So we'll keep it rolling.
Cool.
And then I'm sure we'll keep chatting. And then I'm gonna try to make it out to the Warrior Wolf Challenge. I'm
Yeah,
really hoping to.
Raleigh.
Um,
Dylan will be out here too. So
Ryland's going out there to that.
no, Dylan
Oh,
Scott.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
He
Dylan.
lives there.
Dylan, and then
Bubbles will be there.
yeah.
Kelly Sullivan's gonna go. I think. Darn, drawing a blank.
You
Thing.
guys, you guys
Oh,
throw axes and shit in that too?
we did last year. That was
Wow.
kind of the part I didn't really like, but he threw like it was knife throwing. So he threw a
Okay.
knife at a target, and if you hit the target, like depending on what ring you hit, closer you were to the bullseye was less burpees. So if you hit the bullseye, no burpees. Everything else, I completely missed the target, so I had to do like 20 burpees or something, but it was fun.
Did it have to stick? Did you have to actually get it to stick, or you just nailed the target?
Had to stick.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not easy. That's not easy at all.
Yeah. It was fun though because it was a lot of different stuff, and I'm sure they'll come up with like something cool this year to do. But it's good to have a variety, even if it's not my favorite thing. I'm sure there were other people that was their favorite part of the race. So
Right. Yeah,
we all
that's
get,
the good part about this stuff. That's
yeah.
the good part. Keep me posted. Again, I'm sure I'll talk to you again, but keep me posted if you get any plans to come out here, and then do the same.
Seattle, that's basically right up the street for me, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. It is great up there, but no, it's shit. That's like a 20 something hour drive at least.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Not too awesome either. So,
Oh.
but
Sure.
yeah. Well, cool. Well, thanks, Terra. I
Well,
appreciate you coming on. Great talking to you, and thank you. Thank you for the information. I appreciate it. I always try to just try to hear the different perspectives of athletes like yourself, and keep the wheels turning.
yeah.
So
Anytime.
thank you. All right. I will talk to you soon. I'm going to end this sucker right now.